Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Quran states about the human soul that it has been balanced and informed of its good and its evil. Then the subsequent verse states that indeed successful is the one who purifies it, and damned is the one who tarnishes it. Now from here what we understand is that the soul, thinking that it's the body, is overly inclined towards the body and the bodily properties. And in that, it begins its process of regression initially from its truth, which is its godly self. And then from time to time, it is reminded that it is loftier than the body. But this verse says that that state of us feeling bodily and being overly oriented with the body is a natural state, and it's a state of opportunity. But in comparison to the lofty godly state, that is seen as a defect. However, that defect is an opportunity in as far as soon as we begin to rectify the wrongs, they yield the godly side or bring about the emergence of the godly side. So for example, when we say that we get angry, we become greedy, these are expressions of tarnishing the soul. And soul does these things naturally. It's predisposed due to its feeling that it's the body. But as we rectify our greed, as we rectify our anger, the godly self begins to emerge through it. So even though it's a state of defect, that defect is an opportunity in itself. And the whole process is one of rectification. Now this is the inner rectification and refinement of the character at the very core level. But in that, what we forget is that the past deeds that we have committed that constitute wrong have also contributed to darkening the soul or dampening its godly light or diminishing of its godly light. And the only way to regain that light is to rectify those wrongs. The Quran is very clear that not only is it the case of refining the soul through spiritual discipline, through acting contrary to our soul's dictate, but also in terms of rectifying the wrongs that we have done to others. The hadith literature is far more elaborate, that every wrong deed that we commit, especially to others, we will have to account for it. The oppression that we commit against our souls, obviously we can rectify that through spiritual disciplining and through addressing ourselves. But the wrongs that we have done to others, nonetheless, will be there and we will need to answer for them. So one of the things that the spiritual literature teaches us is to rectify the wrongs that have been done by us, wrongs done to other people. And that is what we find in the dua of the fourth Imam, in which he states to Allah, Allah, forgive me the wrongs that I've done to others, whether it is within my reach to seek their forgiveness, but I cannot due to embarrassment, or if they have gone away. Now, there are many wrongs that we have done that we can rectify. Here we need to think of all the wrongs that we have done and either go and apologize to those people for the wrongs that we have done. If we have cheated people, then to admit to it. If we have stolen from others, then to give back and seek their forgiveness. Or if it is something that we cannot compensate, then to do good to them to the extent that they become pleased with us. If people have died, then it is good to go to their grave side and to seek their forgiveness. Now, you might ask, but that person has gone. That's not the point. The point is, symbolically, we are making an effort to going to the place where that person's final memories rest. And we seek forgiveness from that point, or at that point. That is the only point that we can associate with at present. And of course, if we can't go to somebody's grave, then to seek forgiveness from them through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ask Allah to make their hearts forgive us. Now there's a hadith in which it says that if your parents have died being displeased with you due to the wrongs that you've done to them, you can regain their pleasure and their forgiveness by doing good in their name or on their behalf. If you do good on their behalf, their hearts will melt and they will become pleased with you. On the other hand, if your parents have been pleased with you during their lifetimes, but you have cut relations from them after their death, assuming them to have gone and don't do any good in their name, then they can become displeased with you. So it shows that even after that, the doors of forgiveness or seeking forgiveness from people who have died are still open. So when we wrong people and we cannot seek forgiveness from them because they have died, and we cannot go to their graves because we don't know where they're buried or they are not within reach, then at that point we need to start doing good on their behalf, giving charity on their behalf, maybe do dhikr in their remembrance. That, according to the hadith, reaches them, and then they can forgive us in place of the good deed that we are doing in their name. Similarly, we can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the fourth Imam asks, and he says, "O Allah, please them through your bounties to an extent that they become happy to forgive me of the wrongs that I did to them." That is also a method to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cause their hearts to forgive us in return for whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows upon them. Now this is very, very much needed, because every wrong we do is an impediment, either in this world upon the soul or in the next world upon the scales. We need to get each and every one of these sins forgiven. And that is why we are told that at times we need to recollect the wrongs that we have done to others, and then to make a concerted effort to seek their forgiveness and to compensate for those wrongs. And if it is not possible because they have died, then to do good on their behalf, or to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them forgive us. The description on the day of Qiyamah is this, that people will be tearing away at each other's flesh in the frenzy of retrieving their good deeds due to the wrongs that they have been done, the wrongs that those people have done to them. Because on that day everybody will be, and I know it's a very undignified state, everybody will be after getting their good deeds to outweigh their evil deeds, and people will lose all sense of self-respect or dignity in the want of fleeing from the pitiful end of going into the fire of hell. Once we seek forgiveness from them, it brings humility within the heart, and at times it's humiliating, and that humiliation is good, because that then addresses the central problem that we have, and that is of pride. What makes us justify our wrongs is our pride and arrogance. Once that breaks, the biggest barrier and the veil that prevents our inner growth is removed, and we become humble and fluid. So the wrongs that we have done to others, although they are bad, but they become a divine opportunity to address the very central problem that is within us, one of arrogance and one of pride. Once we find that humiliation of seeking forgiveness, it actually rectifies us within ourselves. Now, with time, as we practice seeking forgiveness from others, either from them or in their absence from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens is that it makes us mindful and very, very present to the thoughts that pass our mind and the emotions that cross our heart. Sometimes, inadvertently, we think things that are absolutely not right about others. We wish them ill. But once we engage in this practice of seeking forgiveness, those thoughts are immediately screened, and we do not allow them to enter within our minds. And at a deeper level, those spontaneous feelings that we get when we see people or hear about them, or when they say something or something is spoken about them, those inner emotions and feelings are then screened. Once we arrive at that level, then we are becoming very, very present, and we are no longer sinning against the creatures of God. This then becomes an opportunity for us to reclaim our light. And that is why the verse of the Quran states, as Imam Ali has repeated in his Dua Kumail, that you are the one who not only forgives the wrongs, but turns the wrongs into rights. This humble state of seeking forgiveness and rectifying the wrongs that we've done to others, it actually becomes a vehicle and a means for us to regain our godliness. In this month of Ramadan, it's a very good idea to be in seclusion, to think of the wrongs that we have done to others, not only by word and by deed, but even by thought and emotion and intention, and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us and to pray for them that Allah increases their goodness. Allah increases their life, their health, their wealth, their prestige. And if they have died, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive them and increase them in their godly ranks. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.